So you've got to write a personal statement for your UCAS applications, and you've only got 4,000 characters in which to do that. That's quite tricky, isn't it? So I'm going to give you some advice on how to write a well-crafted personal statement. You need to demonstrate a passion and a flair for the subject. So how do you do that? Well, you need to tell us what area of English you're fascinated in, be that literature, be that language, be that medieval language and literatures or drama. It's really important that you specify a particular area. And then you need to tell us, in your own words, why you're interested. You need to tell us what you're studying in that particular area. You then need to demonstrate what we call self-directed learning. Then you're going above and beyond what your teacher has been telling you, what your mum or your dad have been telling you about that particular area. So, for example, if you're saying in your personal statement that you're absolutely fascinated by the work of John Steinbeck, for example, because you're looking at Of Mice and Men in your studies, then you then need to demonstrate that because of that, you're now looking at, for example, The Grapes of Wrath, and you're interested in other authors that represent that particular area of the Great Depression, for example, in which Steinbeck is writing in North America. So it's demonstrating that you've been taught this, but now you're going further by looking at that. And that will demonstrate not only self-directed learning, but it will also demonstrate your passion and your flair for the subject. And those two key things are what universities are looking for. Other ways that you can demonstrate self-directed learning is by telling us in your personal statement what you're interested in that goes beyond what you're learning at school. Say is that you're really interested in drama and theatre studies, and indeed you might be taking drama and theatre studies at A level, but let's say you then want to direct your village play, the Christmas play in your village, for example, or you want to create an after-school drama club. That would demonstrate that to us here at university that you're interested in the subject, but again, you're going above and beyond. Well, let me give one final example. Let's say, to take it all the way back to my earlier example of literature and Steinbeck's work, for example. Let's say you are looking at Of Mice and Men in school. Then how could you demonstrate self-directed learning that isn't saying, well, I've read The Grapes of Wrath, for example? Well, what about demonstrating that you and your friends created an after-school book club? So you've created an after-school book club where you and your friends engage with literary conversations about literature from North America that helps put your other studies in context. Let's say you're a joint honours student. How do you write a personal statement that addresses the two areas of study that you want to pursue at university? Well, I think the main thing to say there is that you've got to demonstrate how both areas of study work well together and how they complement each other. And in so doing, you need to demonstrate your interest for both areas of study and how your interest in both these areas of study demonstrate self-directed learning. So let me give an example by looking at, for example, a text I know that's studied on A-level, Shakespeare's Othello. But let's say you're interested in, for example, English with history, for example. You can demonstrate how that play responded to the early modern period of its time, and in so doing you can demonstrate how you've put that play in historical context at the dawn, at the age of empire. Why is it important that Shakespeare has to write this play about a marginalized black man? And indeed, you can demonstrate a much broader, wider understanding of the absolute relevance of such a play in 21st century society that still battles with racial prejudice on a daily basis. Another example is, let's say you're a prospective English of politics student. And let's say you're looking at the poetry of Seamus Heaney, for example. Let's say you wanted to go much further beyond the classroom and not just look at the poems and, let's say, Death of a Naturalist, but you wanted to read much broader, much wider into his poetry by looking at, for example, collections like North, and think about how that details in a very subtle, very ambiguous way about the politics of the Troubles in Northern Ireland. You can demonstrate how your knowledge of Seamus Heaney's poetry has expanded beyond the classroom to different collections, and how that helps you reflect on the political ambiguities within Northern Ireland at that time. For further advice, please feel free to contact your admissions tutor at whichever university that you're applying to. Each university and each department or school will have an inquiry form. We're not allowed to accept individual personal statements either here at the University of Nottingham or any university, but all universities will be very happy to give out advice and suggestions about how to craft your personal statement.